Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Debbie Guy-Geesh, and welcome to my show called Get Real with Revenue Marketing. So you guys probably know the drill by now. I like to just take a pause once or twice a week, get away from the crazy pace that we all have as marketers. They're, running on the rat wheel, trying to get 1,001 things done like yesterday, and just take some time and talk to some other people and just get some inspiration and maybe get some new ideas or some new ways to think about our business. So today I'm very, very delighted to have Julia Stead, who Julia and I have known each other since her Allocadia days, and she's with a new company now. She's going to tell us all about it. But we're really going to talk about the role of the current and the future CMO. So Julia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Debbie. It's such a pleasure to be here. Like you were describing, it's so fun to just take some time out from the day-to-day sprinting to the next goal and just talk marketing and, take a breath and really learn some new things and share some new ideas.
And, marketers, we have to be constantly learning because there certainly is a lot to learn, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
But you have a new gig. So what are you doing now?
I do, and so I'm learning a lot every day at my new gig. I'm really excited to have joined a company called 15Five as their CMO. And so for those not familiar with 15Five, we're a people-centered performance management platform. So for HR leaders, managers, business leaders, it's a complete suite of products from engagement surveys and feedback tools to OKRs and performance reviews. And the part that I find just so fascinating and really, really sparks my passion is around what we're doing to really help create better managers who then by extension really help create thriving employees, which then delivers peak business performance. And I'm all about business performance and hitting revenue numbers. So it all kind of comes together really nicely through people.
And I think that can be applied to marketing as well, because as a CMO, I mean, you are about people. You typically have a marketing team and they're about people too. So is this something that a marketing department might use, or would it be across the broader company, or could it be both?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's ultimately a tool for anyone that is a people leader or that engages with a manager. So we sell to HR teams, but we are used by managers and their teams to be able to stay engaged with our employees, with our teams, get everyone aligned on the same goals, give real-time feedback, do regular check-ins to see how everyone's doing, all kinds of great things to help managers connect better with their employees and inspire and support and motivate better performance.
And just one more thing about it, because I was so fascinated when I saw it, is you also have like the sentiment button, right? So it's just kind of like an instant pulse check to see how people are doing. And given how stressed out people have been during the pandemic, I would assume that would be a very helpful thing to have.
It really is, because it gives you a quick pulse or snapshot of how everyone on your team is feeling. And some days, so it's out of 5. Some days I've got all 5s on my team. Some days I've got a couple of 2s and a 4. And it really helps you develop empathy and understanding for each team member and where they are today and this week,
Yeah. Anyway, maybe we'll have another conversation just about the solution, but we'll do that later. But today we're going to talk about the CMO, and we're going to talk about revenue operations. So Julia, how long have you been at the CMO level in your career?
It's been about 2 years now. So I was in a VP overarching head of marketing role for a few years as well. But when I joined Allocadia a couple of years ago, it was my first time officially stepping into a CMO role, which I think is a little bit different than a head of marketing VP role, because I think the scope of responsibility goes much farther than just marketing and running a effective, efficient, successful marketing organization, but really playing a bigger role with developing your market and helping create the right business strategy to really seize the market opportunity that lies ahead.
So let's talk about, what does it take to be a CMO today? I mean, you were at the top level of marketing in some companies, and you've been the CMO for a couple of years, and now you have the opportunity to see that CMO position from across different companies. But what does it take to be a CMO today?
It takes a lot. It's not hard. It's truly my dream job, but it's also really hard. And I'd say the kind of summary of what it takes is you really need to be a business leader, a people leader, but also this sort of full stack strategic thinker and marketer and market maker. So thinking about the revenue impact and market growth and how you're going to help build and grow a business, but also still oversee the strategy and planning and execution of the day-to-day marketing, the monthly, the quarterly marketing. So it spans a lot. And I think expectations have changed and evolved a lot. I'd say even over like the past 5 years, they've changed to be more about finding that balance between the art and science of marketing and not leaning too far into one or the other. As CMO, you really need to be able to deliver both. So those hard ROI numbers, improving the business impact of marketing, but also delivering that really engaging emotional brand experience. And that's a lot to cover under one umbrella.
I have to tell you, as I sit here and listen to you, I'm like, oh, that is a lot. And it seems like every CMO that I have on the show, they just go on and on and on and on
Yeah,
around
it's like,
and it's this, right? And how do you be good at all of that?
I think the biggest, so people is my very short answer. My better explanation there is aligning with the right people at the right level. So first and foremost, really understanding your business strategy and understanding that your success is dependent on how tightly interconnected you are with the other leaders of the business and sharing one vision and one strategy that you then go and help not just execute on, but build in tandem and develop. And then really structuring your marketing organization in a way that you've got the right senior leaders across your team to own and to be empowered really to own each of the different functional aspects of marketing, but you're stitching the strategy together so that each of your leaders are working really closely and effectively with one another. So that's why I really think it is the people aligning with your peers at the executive level on one vision, one strategy, and then really empowering and coaching and mentoring and creating the right roles and responsibilities on your team so that your leaders within marketing are creating a highly functioning organization.
So this is not a question that we talked about, but just hearing you chat, I have to ask this question. How does a CMO gain the credibility that they need to do their job? I think in some cases, maybe it's getting a little easier, but I still see CMOs struggling with credibility that they can be a collaborative executive that helps grow the business. How do you do that?
If I'm being completely fair, I think part of it is up to the CMO. I'd say a large part. I'd say 80% is up to the CMO, but I'd say 20% is up to the CMO's peers to also be open and willing to build those kinds of relationships and be open to listening and thinking about perhaps doing things differently than they've been done in the past from a seat at the table perspective. Within the world of the CMO, though, I'd say it's partly having opinions and speaking up about things that aren't just about marketing. So really understanding that you understand everything that is going on in the business, and you're not just sort of living within your sort of tunnel vision of marketing and what's most important for marketing, but understanding how marketing fits into all the other components of your business, having opinions and being willing to help out in other areas of the business. And yeah,
so conduct yourself like a business person, in other words.
Exactly. Right. And then there's, of course, the being able to prove the business impact that marketing is driving to gain the respect and credibility, perhaps, of your peers. But yeah, it's having opinions and speaking up and integrating yourself into the whole strategy, not just marketing.
So building on that, one of the things that you and I have talked about, and we've done a couple of webinars together, and that is the role of marketing operations and how it has grown as to becoming an essential function to marketing, and how it also empowers the CMO to finally get that seat at the table. So what is your take on marketing operations and its impact on your success as a CMO?
I really think marketing operations can make or break your success in gaining that seat at the table. Really, marketing operations is what gives you the data and insights and reporting agility you need to be able to prove the ROI and impact of marketing on your business and be able to connect the dots between marketing output and business strategy. And then also, I think you're largely dependent on marketing operations for speed and accuracy of anything you're doing, right? And so if you don't have a really solid, robust strategic marketing operations function, everything you're going to be doing is slower and less efficient and probably less accurate. It just makes everything 10 times harder. So, can you get by? Maybe, but can you really be successful? I don't believe so.
I would concur
Yeah.
on that. I absolutely would. And the other thing that I like that you said is that when you have an effective marketing operations organization, there's also a speed element. So
Mm-hmm.
as the company's taking on different key initiatives across the organization, if you have an effective and an efficient marketing ops organization, speed to market, speed to results, all of those things make a huge difference, especially in the market that we live in today. So I loved your comment about the speed on that.
It's a competitive differentiator, I really think,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
I would totally agree with that. So how have you seen marketing operations evolve? And let's just start there. I mean, because you've been in marketing for quite some time, and remember the early days when you got a marketing automation system, and we said, "Oh, somebody's got to go run that thing, right?" And
Yeah.
that's kind of how marketing operations started. How have you seen it evolve?
I'd say the biggest evolution has been technology driven. We've all seen the diagrams of the thousands of different solutions out there for marketing technology, and technology plays a key role in enabling marketing success in general, period. But if I think back to 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, technology was a means to an end. And I think the big shift that's occurred is technology needs a strategy now, and measurement needs a strategy. And so marketing operations has had to evolve from being reactive and sort of an order taker in the organization that just helps execute on things, to really being this kind of linchpin piece that brings together marketing and sales and all of the work that's going on, and the data that's passing through all the systems, to really have a high level strategy that permeates the organization, the go-to market organization, and is responsible for this tightly coordinated flow of data and results and analysis.
I love that. I think that's so well said and so true. And as we talk about that evolution of marketing ops, it also, now we're starting to talk about rev ops. So
Yeah.
how do you differentiate between marketing ops, and there's all kinds of words, expressions,
Mm-hmm.
but rev ops is another area that seems to be taking on a life of its own. What is that about?
This is such an interesting one, because I potentially have contrarian opinions on it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet which is best. I think ultimately, and so what I mean by which is best is you've got the more traditional model of marketing has its own operations team that lives within marketing, and hopefully it plays nice with sales operations or customer success operations, and hopefully everyone's buying technology thoughtfully and it all fits together, right? And then I've seen a big trend over the past few years of consolidating all the operations teams under one RevOps umbrella, typically owned reporting into more of a sales leadership or CRO function. And philosophically, I think the latter makes sense. And a big success factor is just who's running that whole operations team, and do they have the strategic leadership to and empathy and understanding of all the different functions that fall into it, to be able to put together a successful strategy that encompasses everything, versus having the lens of just one team versus the other. Where I feel I might be a little bit contrarian is I do think sometimes there's still value to having operations teams live within the department to facilitate prioritization and speed of, hey, these are the things that I need to get done in marketing. These are marketing first, if you will, initiatives. And I just need someone on my team to go do it for me without having to understand how this fits into the overall prioritization and hierarchy of the RevOps team. So, and then you could always argue, well, it sounds maybe you just need more resources within RevOps to be able to prioritize everything. I don't know. The jury's out for me on that one, and I'm enjoying seeing it evolve. And I've worked with different types of scenarios, and I believe they can all be successful. Yeah. I think we're just in an evolution of really nailing what success looks like.
I agree. I think in this area, it was still the Wild Wild West days. There's no one best. And what I always typically tell my clients, and anytime I'm talking about marketing ops, it really depends upon what's going on within that organization as to what the need is going to be. And you're right. when you have marketing ops, sales ops, and customer success ops reporting into the CRO, you kind of think, well, do they really understand enough about marketing, or is this really swinging over more toward sales and what's going on over there? The other thing that I've seen, Julie, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen this RevOps organization actually report into operations, right? So it's not marketing, or it's not. As a matter of fact, in my latest book, I interviewed 3 different heads of RevOps, and they all said that they would prefer to report into the head of operations because they thought it was just a truer operational, and things, would just tend not to be as skewed as they might have been, which I thought was super interesting. I just know that if I were a CMO in a new company, I would want my own marketing operations organization right out of the box, because I just would want that control. But again, it just really depends on the kind of company that you're working with. So
and the stage and maturity. And I think rolling into an operations function is interesting and could work as well. The part that I always go back to is the strategy. And from a MarTech perspective, as you're building your tech stack and figuring out how the pieces go together, that needs to be so tightly intertwined with what your demand gen strategy is, for example, right? And what your marketing goals and objectives are. And so if it's not literally like attached at the hip with whoever's driving that marketing strategy, that's where things fall apart. And that's where my control instinct kicks in, that like I want to keep that part in marketing, unless you've got a mature organization where everyone's already living and breathing each other's strategy, which to date is like the ideal, but not quite there yet.
It truly is not quite there yet. And the other thing is that the tech stack is getting so incredibly complex. It's very complex. And so the other question that I couldn't leave today without talking to you about is I want to spend a few minutes talking about talent. And again, that's not something that we talked about before the show, but I'm seeing the crunch for talent like I have never, ever seen before. And especially in marketing operations, but it's really all across marketing. I'm seeing salaries going through the roof. So trying to find someone who is well qualified. Just that the salaries are up and the talent is scarce, and it's their market and they can get to pick and choose. So how do you address that talent challenge?
Yeah. I think first of all, any parents of high school students should now go encourage their high school kids to go into marketing operations, because it's a lot of money to be had there. But but jokes aside, I think the challenge is marketing operations is such a new function that there just aren't people with 10 years of experience or 5 years of experience. At best, you're lucky to find someone that's been doing it full time at a strategic level for maybe 2 years. So really slim pickings, because it's such a new area of expertise. And I think having someone senior and strategic is critical to the success of your overall strategy. So it's hard, and I'm hoping that because it's so important now, more and more entry level or junior level folks getting into marketing operations sort of level themselves up quickly. There's so many great community resources and tools to sort of learn hands-on and just dive into the work. And that eventually, a year or two from now, the pool of talent who's experienced in marketing operations and RevOps will increase, and the great work you're doing to just evangelize this problem and opportunity, I think will help as well. I'm hoping, yes, in 2 years, it'll just be much more mainstream. There'll be a bigger.
We'll have plenty of people on the market for that. I don't know, because these are truly purple unicorns that we're talking about. They have to have everything that you talked about for the CMO, just at a different level, in a different dimension. They have to understand marketing. They have to understand technology. They understand data. They got to be collaborative. They got to work cross-functionally. They got to understand business. They got to know how to get to revenue. It is a huge issue, and I see that skills gap. I see it's growing. It's not shrinking. But I hope you're right. I hope that over the next 2 years, there'll be a real push. And I know of a couple of organizations right now that are actually creating marketing ops certifications. Both of those organizations will be on some later shows that I'll be having. And I think that's phenomenal because they're not teaching it in college, right?
Yeah.
And the way people develop today is by lucky circumstance, just having, gone from one part of, businesses to the other. And so here we have very sophisticated requirements. Even in a small company, you have very sophisticated requirements in this arena. So what do you think marketers can do to, because can't wait 2 years. So what do you do now?
I think so the really hard part about the role that, what makes these people purple unicorns is marrying the knowledge of the actual systems and being able to roll up your sleeves and, build a new Marketo instance from scratch or plug in all of your different integrations, but also be able to think 3 to 6 months out of, okay, this is what we're building today, but how are these data flows potentially going to change short term, or what are the next steps that we're going to want to layer in here, or how are we going to want to optimize this, and bring those pieces together. So that's sort of like the second hard part. And then the third hard part we mentioned is working cross-functionally and being able to get buy-in, not just from your core team, but get the support of the other folks. And so I think if you've got someone that's got that first pillar pretty well nailed for now, so they understand how the systems work technically, as a leader, spending the time coaching and mentoring them on the business strategy piece, on the communication skills piece, it's sort of like those soft skills, but that are really, really critical on the strategic thinking piece, which is such an annoying thing to hear. I think if you're an employee of like, you need to think more strategically. And then it's like, well, what does that even mean? So taking the time to walk them through, hey, here's how you built the tech today. Here is how I, as a marketing leader, am thinking bigger picture of how this connects to our overall strategy. It's investing the time in coaching in the non-technical areas that they need to round out the technical skill set, I think.
And I think it's true in marketing operations, any industry that we're in today, the skills requirements are becoming more sophisticated every single day. So, I always tell young professionals, marketing is a great arena to go into. There's so many different things that you can do. And marketing operations is especially, I think, a very exciting thing that you can go into. Okay, 2 more questions for you. And the next question is, what do you know now, Julia, that you wish you would known 10 years ago as far as your career is concerned?
I think the short answer is everything. I feel like I've learned so much. I guess, as quaint as it sounds, every hard experience I've had, I've really learned from in hindsight. It's always felt hard or embarrassing or uncomfortable at the time. And then if I give it a month or 6 months or a year, I look back on those hard situations and have learned so much and grown from them. So that's like the main one that's been sticking with me lately, is especially as I think back on some of the hard things that happened a bit earlier on in my career. Taking the time to get your head out of marketing and really get to know the other functions of the business, I think, is an important one. Really, especially, this is so important. I should have said this first, maybe. It took me a while to focus on customers more than I do today. And this, I think, was a lesson I learned best at Allocadia. They are so customer centric. They know their customers so well, and it just fuels their product and their innovation and their brand in such a positive way. And during my time there, I had the opportunity to spend a lot more time firsthand with customers, learning from customers. And that's something I'll carry with me forever. As a marketer, you will always get better the closer you are to your customers.
Yes, amen, sister. Absolutely. Totally. All right. Last question. What do you do for fun?
That's a fun question, actually, these days. What do I do for fun? I like to really work hard and push myself during the week, and then on weekends, just totally disengage. And so for me, what that looks like is going to the beach or on hikes with my kids. I've got a 2-year-old and 4-year-old boys. And so anything I can do that involves sunshine, fresh air, and running and climbing brings me, like that peace of mind and that reset on the weekend. So I'm having a lot of fun doing just beach days with them right now. And
that's wonderful. Hikes. That's wonderful. I think I shared with you, I actually live on the beach. I'm actually looking at the Gulf of Mexico right now. And about 10 minutes before we started, there was a really large dolphin, maybe 5 feet from shore. And he was just seeing if he could round up a group of fish. But to me, that is just fascinating.
Yeah.
And so, like you, it's the fresh air, it's the water. I love being on the water. So, and we definitely need to take a break and not be working 7 days a week. I think a 4-day work week is really better. And some companies are doing that. Some Scandinavian countries have already moved, I think, to a 4-day work week. So
it makes
we probably
sense,
never
right?
get everything done. But anyway,
Yeah.
Well, Julia, you have been a delight. I always enjoy talking to you. And I always learn so much when we do get to do something together. So thank you very much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you. It has just been an absolute pleasure, Debbie. I always love chatting with you.
Back at you. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. We'll see you next time. And just remember, it is a great day to be a revenue marketer. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.